It's Mack. Welcome back. Episode 44 of Icebreaker. AJ, loving the flow.
Yeah, it's been a while since barbers and hair salons have been open here. So, if you're listening, I've adopted the headband. I might never cut my hair again.
And it is a hot commodity to get in for your haircut. They are a prized possession right now. But before we
Yeah,
get going, I just wanted to say that episode 44 and the Icebreaker Show is presented by Tribute Digital. Tribute Digital provides e commerce marketing solutions that go past just impressions and clicks, focusing on revenue for your business. Contact Tribute Digital today to transform your digital business. Visit tribbute.com/ice to start. And like we always say, gotta love the double syllables.
that's right.
Gotta love them. Um, Big news this week, and that is, over the past couple weeks, it was first the home opener was announced, then the preseason schedule, the 34 game home schedule for the Winnipeg Ice was announced, and if you're looking for tickets, get on the Ice priority wait list. It's a first come, first serve basis, and you can find that at winnipegice.ca. Sign up, tell them what you're interested in, and yeah, it's first come, first serve basis. But finally, 34 games back at the Ice Cave.
It's not going to be the same as before. We're only, if I'm not mistaken, hosting two divisions, the East and the Central,
Correct. The East and
coming
the
to
Central
Winnipeg.
coming to Winnipeg.
But at this point, what do we care? Hockey's back.
Hockey's back. And if you think about it, there was some real good games last year in the East Division alone with the Prince Albert Raiders, the Brandon Wheat Kings, and then even in the Central, like the Calgary Hitmen, the Ice had good games with in Winnipeg. The Lethbridge Hurricanes, same thing. I'm probably forgetting some teams right off the top of my head. But as you get into it, and just based on following the bubble, and you look at all the great players in the East Division, so we can start with Carson Lambos, who's going to be a first round pick
Mm-hmm.
in the NHL this year. Moose Jaw has a top end talent on their team who's going to be, probably a first round pick this year. And then you think about the Ice, younger guys, Matt Savoy, Connor Geeky. You go into Regina, first ever exceptional status player in the WHL with Connor Bedard. I mean, the list goes on of young talent. Zach Benson on the ice, 20 points in 24 games as a 15-year-old. Like the list goes on. And then, Connor McLennan, Owen Peterson coming back. Like you could just literally talk about this division and the whole Eastern Conference for days on the talent that's going to be coming into Winnipeg on a nightly basis. It's going to be incredible.
I really think the fans too are going to be surprised because as hardcore as the Ice fans are, I'm assuming that a good percentage didn't watch a lot of the action in the bubble last year. And so to come in and see some live hockey again, this team is ramped up and it is ready to go.
This, if the bubble showed anything, it's like the Ice can score goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Ice can stop goals too.
Keep them out of the net too. So it's going to be a very exciting season.
When is the home opener, Mac?
October 2nd. And it's kicking off the Battle of Manitoba. Right where they're, it's even in the bubble, it just seemed like the pickup right where that was left off this season before. Even with no fans, it was still a big game. All out. I don't know. I'm excited for it to get going. I can only imagine what the players are feeling.
And we get 5 of them this season, Brandon, Winnipeg.
5 of them at the Ice Cave.
It's going to be a big, big rivalry.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Moving on, I guess, keeping it hockey based is Montreal Canadiens and the Tampa Bay Lightning are in the Stanley Cup, and we'll get into that in a second. I just want to say that I was wrong on another hot take because I said the Canadiens are going to get swept by Vegas. And here we go. They're in the Stanley Cup, so wanted to do that.
Before you continue, I want to touch on that hot take because your take was that after sweeping the Jets, the Canadiens were going to get swept. And you weren't sure when that was going to happen. We actually got a shout out on Twitter. The last time that happened, Mac, was like 2 years ago.
Oh.
It was like 2019.
Oh, well, there you go.
So it's not that far off. It wasn't that huge a miss for the for the hot take.
That's too bad. Which leads us into our Manitoba Building Trades hot takes for this week, and you're going to get the daily double. I think this is the first time in the show history that we're doing 2 hot takes, and we're going to pick the playoff MVP. And before we do that, I just want to say that the Manitoba Building Trades hot take, it's not just any project. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. It's about building something great for Manitoba. That's why you turn to the talent and craftsmanship of Manitoba's expert tradespeople. Manitoba Building Trades is Manitoba's unionized construction industry. Productive labor is our business. With over 10,000 skilled trades professionals, we build what others can only imagine. Visit mbtrades.ca and come build with us. So I'm going to give you the honor of giving your Manitoba Building Trades hot take first.
So we're picking the MVP of the playoffs. I got to go with the netminder in Tampa, Andrei Vasilevskiy.
Andrei Vasilevskiy.
I think he's played at that level. And sure, I mean, the Lightning are putting up points.
Yeah.
But I think Vasilevsky's playing at that level where if it comes down to it and they hoist the cup, I could see him being named MVP.
So I'm going to learn from my last hot take and never count the Montreal Canadiens out of a series. Okay. And I'm gonna just say that I see this series going pretty deep. Yeah. And win or lose, I think Carey Price gets the nod.
Do you think the Habs are going to lose the series and they're going to name Carey Price the MVP?
I don't think it matters. I think he's the only reason they're there. They had a crazy stat. If they scored 2 goals or more, they're 10-0. Or just like 2 or more, they're 10-0. Yep. That's incredible. Yep. Okay. And when you think about an MVP, it's who is the most valuable to their team's success. Andrei Vasilevskiy, no doubt, has been incredible, but the Lightning scores 5-6 goals a game.
That's right.
Montreal Canadiens are 10-0 with 2 goals. That is incredible. So I don't think it matters, win or lose. I think it's going to go back to like J.S. Shigeru when he won the Conn Smythe on a losing team.
Yep.
It could happen. Could happen. So that's the Manitoba Building Trades hot take, and we will see. And knowing our history with these, I'm not overly optimistic.
This is the only way we're going to get one right is if we start making multiple hot takes every episode.
Exactly. Okay. Maybe we'll stick to that as we move on here a little bit. Do you see the golf last weekend?
This past weekend? No, but you were telling me about it. There was a wicked play down.
Yeah, it's like a 7 or 8 hole playoff, and Harris English and Kramer Hickok, and the people were cheering for Kramer, I think just because he's got a great name. Great. But anyways, it was 7 or 8 holes, and Kramer doesn't have a full tour card yet. And if he won, he would have been exempt on tour until 2024, which would have been huge, right? Not only for him, but like money wise, like it's a big deal. And anyways, it was a crazy playoff. Like guys had opportunities to win and they would make these huge pressure putts and it would go another hole. And Harris English ended up winning, which is great, but you got to feel for Kramer, that close to securing a tour card for a long time. And they're showing his like wife and his family are on the holes and they're just like, oh, every time he'd miss, it was like, oh no.
But this is part of golf because now we're talking about it. His name's been everywhere. Yeah. People watched him play essentially what was a whole round and a half of golf in a day.
Yeah.
And he's still named Kramer. You know who really had it rough? When anytime it goes to a long play down like that, it's the announcers.
Yeah.
They run out of so much stuff to say.
Yeah.
They've breezed through their notes already.
You know who also has it rough is the caddies carrying the bags up and down.
Yeah, you got to buy him dinner after that one.
Yeah, no question. So that was neat. And it was like golf playoffs it's overtime, right? And it's normally done in like 1 or 2 holes. That was like 8 overtimes. Like it was pretty cool.
I got to say, and I love how much we talk about golf because this year in particular, there's been really great golf tournaments.
Yeah.
Like really great, like above average this year. And so we're lucky to see it.
It's funny you say that because I texted my brother and I was like, golf is so much better now than it was 10 years ago because anyone can win. It's not the same guy, even though it was great to see Tiger winning, but everyone's winning, and like you literally don't know who's gonna win.
You know who I'm feeling for right now is DJ, because he's fallen down
Yeah, but he'll be
the
back.
leaderboard.
I mean,
Of course. And that's
once
exactly your point, is that at some point DJ's going to come out and just bust out an incredible tournament.
yeah, and
But
that was
these
like
crazy playdowns, we got to see Phil Mickelson win the big one this year. I think it's been a great year for golf.
couldn't agree more. And
Yeah.
Phil's my new favorite golfer. I just love his social media presence. It's unbelievable. You said that you have some lingering trivia questions for me to see if I can go 0 for 5 again.
That's it. Last episode, I did the trivia. Typically, we go back and forth, but to give you a little bit of a breather here, I have 5 extra questions. It's kind of a mixed bag of sports questions. Some are fun, and a couple of them are tough.
Oh, here we go.
I'm predicting a solid 3 out of 5 for you today.
Hey, I like that. I
All
like
right.
that.
So today's trivia, we'll start it with this one. Here's one of the easier questions, Mac. What sport uses a net, a racket, and a shuttlecock?
Badminton.
That's badminton, yeah.
Yes.
Question number 2. What is the national sport of Canada?
Okay, see, this is an interesting question.
Yeah.
And I believe it's not the answer that everybody probably thinking. And I think it is lacrosse.
You're correct. That was the
Yeah.
trick question, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody's going, oh, it's hockey or it's basketball. We invented basketball.
Yeah.
It is, in fact, lacrosse is our national sport.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm. That's 2 out of 2 already.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. I predicted 3 out of 5 for you. So let's keep going. This is a tough one, Mac, but you golf, so maybe you've come across this answer at some point. How many dimples does an average golf ball have?
Ooh. Geez, I don't know.
I got one. You want to count?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to go with 389.
Very close. 336
Wow.
dimples
Okay.
on the average golf ball. So that's a good swing at it.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Question number 4. Which soccer team, we're in the Euro Cup right now, so which football team is the only one to play in every World Cup so far?
Ooh.
There's only one team to do that.
Every World Cup
Yep.
so far. I feel like every 4 years they probably like pump this up when they're playing too, like the only team, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
And I have no idea. So
I think it's a very humble nation. I don't think they hang their hat on it, but it's a cool stat.
I'm gonna go with Argentina.
Wow, you were close again. Brazil
Oh,
is the only footy team to hit every World Cup so far.
you know what's funny? I was in my head. It was Argentina, Brazil, or Portugal.
Sure, and absolutely. And it could have gone either way, right?
I was like Argentina. So
So to make 3 for 5, you got to get this last one, Mac. What is the only sport that has been played on the moon?
wow, I feel like I've seen a video of this maybe or something.
Probably.
I have 2 answers in mind right now.
I'll let you guess both of them if you get the first one wrong.
Baseball,
Not baseball.
basketball.
It's actually golf.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. I believe it was Armstrong who brought a golf club and a golf ball just to say that he had swung a golf club
On the moon.
on the moon.
You know what? I started off so hot, 2 for 2, and it was just like
I don't know about you. I'd play golf on the moon. That's the only way I'm getting up and down onto the greens, you know?
you're right. You just hit it. You hit it like just a little bit, and there's no gravity, so it's just there, and you just push it all the way.
Just crush bombs.
Yeah,
on the moon.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, that was fun. I kind of like the mixed bag of questions, a little more fun that way. The dimples one on a golf ball. I mean, that's pretty. If I came up with that answer, it would have been incredible.
Hey, you almost did. And the next time you're swinging at bridges, you can just straight up say, hey, guys, you know how many dimples on a golf ball?
Yeah, here you go. Um, another a pretty good show here today. Interesting guest, Stanley Cup champion coach. Played for the Winnipeg Jets 1.0. He, coached the Toronto Maple Leafs. All these things. Great person, very funny. It's been out before, but in case you missed it, coming right up right after these messages is Randy Carlyle.
One of the best.
The Icebreaker Show is presented by Tribute Digital. If you're looking to transform the growth of your business, then Tribute will provide you with proven online marketing solutions customized to achieve your goals. Visit them at tribute.com/ice. That's tribute.com with 2 B's/ice. Joined by former Winnipeg Jet 1.0 head coach of the Manitoba Moose and Stanley Cup champion with the Anaheim Ducks, Randy Carlyle. Thanks for joining the show.
Hey, no problem, guys. How you doing up there? Is the snow on the ground yet?
Yeah, actually, last night it dumped on us.
Oh, well, I'm down in San Diego area, so there isn't much snow here.
And I don't feel bad for you one bit.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes.
Well, speaking of snow, what do you remember most about your time playing and coaching in Winnipeg?
Well, there's lots of good memories. I spent over 18 years in Winnipeg, so there was lots of good friendships, lots of relationships. I did a lot of outdoor activities, starting with my kids. They were a young age, they were school age, and there was a lot of outdoor hockey on the community club outdoor rinks. There was lots of wintertime activities. I did a lot of ice fishing. I did a lot of hunting in my spare time. When the fall walleye run would be on in the Red and Pine Falls, after practice, we'd run up there. And we did a lot of outdoor activities that seemed to match my personality, and I really enjoyed my time.
Speaking of fishing, the rumor has it that you're not very good at it.
Well, the person who's probably spreading those rumors are friends of mine, and I probably taught them. When I went to Winnipeg, they were using 2 pie plates back to back with a door handle on it for a fishing reel. I had to show them what actually spinning reels were like, and there was a lot of banter, as I would say, in the boat.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Well, listen, I heard a funny story, and it was about that young kid who came in and stole the first equipment manager's job with the Jets. What do you recall about that?
Well, again, there was this young kid that had lots to say. He came from Brandon, I think it was, and he was vertically challenged and still is. And he came in, and the one thing that he was not shy in the verbal confrontations.
From that same gentleman, he said that maybe sometimes your equipment wasn't always put away.
Well, that's what he was there for. He was supposed to earn his keep, and again, very rarely did that happen. And it might have happened once or twice. And that was just a test to see, how far you could push him. You'd leave something, because he was very, very particular. And as most equipment guys know, they hate to see a player's equipment hit the floor, or should all be hung up in a certain way. The skates hung this way, the gloves put there. And there was a expectation. And there was lots of expectations that certain gentlemen didn't meet until he came to Winnipeg, and then we've had to fill him in on the certain things that had to be done the professional way, the NHL way, not the junior hockey way.
Oh, I'm sure you guys kept them in check. What was the biggest difference, or I guess challenge, for you when you finished playing and then found yourself behind the bench coaching?
Well, I went into a couple different areas first before getting into coaching. I was basically a director of player development. That was one of the first positions. And I actually worked on the radio, and I was an analyst with Kurt Keelback and Don Whitman. And, I was the rookie, and they really taught me a lot about the transitioning and the life away from the playing surface. And it was a great transition, because I was a Jets fan, truth, blue and blue, but I didn't take the wins and losses home with you like you do as a player. So it gave me a little bit of a break and space from being on the bench or on the ice surface, and then transitioning into the stands. And then I got into the director of player development. I worked with the draft choices, and I started helping out in formulating the draft list. So that, again, gave me another opportunity to widen the horizon on what actually happens behind the scenes in the game. And it does, open your eyes, because I can remember and thinking that, oh, this has got to be easy. Oh, why can't they find this type of player? Why can't they find that type of player? And then when you get in the trenches and just see how much work and how much time that the scouts do spend in the arenas, and how many games they do see, it's just amazing. And the projection, everything is a projection. You've got to project that a 17-year-old, soon to be 18-year-old, what he's going to be as a 20-year-old. And you got to take a lot of things into consideration. And it's not just his on-ice ability, it's his off-ice. How much more difficult that is. Is he going to be peaking? Does he have the potential to grow? Does he have the potential to grow as a player? What kind of player is he? He's going to be an impact player. Is his skating good enough? Is he going to plateau? So those are all the things that you have to really register, and it takes time. It's not something that you can go out there and say, well, I've got this, there's a good player. Everybody can pick out probably the top 2 or 3 players on the ice. But it's those guys that are late bloomers, those guys that come along. And it's a real tribute to those scouts that put the time in and the effort in and beating the paths to provide the product for the National Hockey League. And it's not an easy job. And again, I take my hat off to those guys, because they're a great group of people. And once you get into spending time with them, they're just like regular guys. They like to have the fun, and there's lots of bantering going back and forth. And it was very, very enlightening experience. I enjoyed the time, but I didn't enjoy the time on the road by myself.
Right.
And I can remember driving from, I think it was Springfield, Massachusetts to Manchester, New Hampshire in a snowstorm on the Mass Pike. I said, this isn't for me. It was a Sunday afternoon. I said, I'm not doing this anymore. And I said that I came home to my wife and said, I'm going to do something else. I can't do this. I got to get into the other side of the game. And that's when I decided to put my efforts into getting into coaching.
And I had James Patrick on the show the other week, and another former player that's now a coach. And he said when he turned coaching, when he was a player, he was like, well, they're just coaches. And then he became a coach, and he didn't realize all the time that had to go into coaching.
Well, again, the players, there's no better life as far as being involved in the game than being a player. It's the most exciting time. And you spend the least amount of time of anybody at the rink. Everybody else is there to support you. And it goes right from the training staff, the medical staff, to the coaching staff, strength and conditioning, video. All those people put a tremendous amount of time and make sure everything is ready for when you get to the rink. When you enter into that dressing room, your focus is supposed to be, and at 99% of the time, is preparing yourself for the task at hand. And that's on the on-ice product, working and competing and getting out there and making yourself better. And there's a professionalism that's expected of young players, that you got to learn how to be a pro and do the things the professional way. And we're there to try and guide them and help them find that. And a lot of guys struggle with that. And I don't think that I was very good at it early in my career. You just had to walk the walk, and then you had to learn what the longevity and some of the players that you were playing around you, what they did. And you learned from that, and you tried to pass that message along to other players to develop a program. Feel good about your program, go to the rink and enjoy it. But again, you've got to commit to it. It's not something that just comes and goes.
Yeah, no question. When looking at old photos of your playing days, and it's widely known that you didn't play with a helmet. What was up?
Yeah, my wife always said, no brain, no pain. So it was just one thing, we started, and, I go back a long ways, and helmets weren't mandatory in the league at that time.
I know.
I started in 76, my first year in Toronto. I was drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs, and nobody wore helmets. The whole team was helmetless. And then gradually it became an option, and then more and more players started to wear them. But they grandfathered that if you were in the league before, you could make that decision. But every young player coming into the league had to wear a helmet. And I think that started in 78 or 79. So I was fortunate enough that I didn't have to. It just wasn't part of my equipment. But I did wear a helmet in the World Championships 1 year in Sweden. I wore a Jofa Gretzky, and I was one ugly hockey player.
Maybe I'll have to look that up. And you snuck a Norris Trophy into your trophy case as well.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to, get into a situation. I got traded from Toronto, and they traded me to Pittsburgh. And I went to Pittsburgh, and they were a team that was looking for some injection of youth. And I got an opportunity to go from being a sixth defenseman in Toronto's system, because I played behind Boreas Salming and Ian Turnbull. And then they had Trevor Johansson was a young guy that came in at the same time as I did, and Roger Nielsen felt he was a better suited player for their mix. They traded me to Pittsburgh for Dave Burrows, George Ferguson, and I. So we went to Pittsburgh, and then I got elevated. I was in the top role. I was either one or two in their makeup of their group. So it gave me an opportunity to play, and I made mistakes. I made lots of mistakes, but I developed there into a pro hockey player, and that's where you got to learn. You got to do some things differently. You had to change the way you were approaching things, and you went to practice to get better, not just to fill time and space.
Right. I need to ask you a question that you can either confirm or deny, because I don't know the answer to it, but I seem to vaguely remember that there was always 4 little kids running around the Winnipeg arena. And then the old Winnipeg arena setup, the coach's office was across the hallway, just inside the gym area, where there was chin-up bars. Was there kids hanging by their underwear from the chin-up bars when they were annoying the coaches?
Well, that might have happened once, maybe twice, that the little rodents that come in to bother the coaching staff got dealt with. And it was in a fun way. And it's funny that those little kids remember that. They remember that to this day, and it was enjoyable. And that's one thing about the Winnipeg Arena and our memories there. Our kids were allowed access into those areas, and those were big deals for kids of that age group and at that time. And there was lots of kids that came to practice, and there was lots of kids and one of the things that we didn't want the trainers to do, and we didn't expect the trainers to be babysitters, but they sure got their hands full, because we'd feed them full of sugar, and then they'd send them back home to us. Once their kids were there and came back home, they were all wound up. They had lots of sugar because there was gum. If you remember.
Oh, yeah.
Gum, they bought gum from Costco at that time by the 5-gallon bucket, and the kids would just love that gum. There was gum everywhere. So there was always kids going home with pockets full of gum.
No, absolutely. And that's funny. I kind of vaguely remember that was all in good fun. And I also remember in the equipment area, there was like this, I guess, storage room. And in there was a fridge full of the Hershey's cookies and cream, and they were Santas. And we used to just eat the heck out of those.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to be in there. You and the mice and the rats in the building, they were all in those little cubby holes. And those are special times. And that's really what hockey was to a lot of us. And it was a great game that we were able to play, and we had a lot of fun at it. And we had our families and our kids were also part of it. I can remember our boys coming in and not even watching the games. They'd have mini sticks and playing their games out in the hallway. And that goes to Alexander Steen, who's played over 1,000 games.
Yeah.
He was one of the kids, my son Craig, my son Derek. There was Andy Murray's son, Brady Murray. Those kids played, and then there was these little Heisingers that we couldn't get rid of, and we just tried to sweep them away, but they were a part of it also.
And then, obviously, winning the Stanley Cup in 2006 and 2007 as the head coach, what was that moment like?
Well, it was a surreal moment. You really don't realize how big a moment is until it's after.
Yeah.
After the fact. And the decompression that takes place and the time, because you own that thing basically almost for another 8 months, and then it's handed to some other team. And that's the big part of it is that there's a huge mountain to climb. It's very difficult. You got to win 16 hockey games, and you got to have a good group of people that are committed to the common goal. And that's what we had. We had a team that could play any way you wanted to play it. We had great leadership in Scott Niedermayer, Chris Pronger, Teemu Selanne. These were players that were elite level players. And for Scotty, this was, kind of going to be his 4th cup. For Prongs and Teemu, that was their first cup. Mm-hmm. And then everybody seemed to rally around that. And Jagier went in the nets after the first round. He had an issue with his son being born. And so he stayed back, and Brizgalov, I think, played the first round. And then when Jiggy came back, he got the net, and he gave us outstanding goaltending. And we had some big-time plays made by some big-time players to give us the opportunity to hoist the cup.
And they say when you hoist the cup, it feels way lighter than it actually is. Is that true?
Yeah, it is true. There's a lot of adrenaline and a lot of emotion that goes with it, because everybody that you are close to usually are around you, especially when you do. And, we were up 6-2, and they were starting to fill in the hallway behind our bench. And that's, players and our players' wives, players' mothers and fathers, my wife, my children, everybody was crammed into that one area for the last 2 minutes of the hockey game. And you could see them there, and you just didn't want, and there's guys crying on the bench.
Right.
The emotions that were, and that was one of the things that I regret, is not getting Teemu Selanne on the ice for the buzzer. But what happened was he was broken down on the side of the bench. He couldn't contain himself. And I looked down and I said, "I wanted you out there." And he just shook his head, and then he put his head down his legs, and he was emotionally, spent. So again, those are the things that you remember. And the one thing that I'll always remember is in the game, the clinching game, we only gave up 13 shots in the hockey game. So we played a pretty sound defensive hockey game. We'd had a good run, and we found a way to get it done at home. And that was great for our fans and our organization.
Yeah, I still remember watching that. One last question for you, and I don't know, you don't have to answer if you don't want, but I heard way back when Bobby Ryan was a rookie that a couple of the older fellas on the team changed his girlfriend's phone number to your phone number one night, and he was calling you at 4 a.m.
I don't remember that. I think that's not true. As I remember very vividly, that never really happened, from my knowledge. Because I never the phone at 4:30 in the morning. I was never going to be interrupted, because there was a lot of prank calling going along at that time, and I can remember guys calling and trying to pose as real estate agents. And they had a price for your house. They had a bunch of different things going on, and that was, again, things that if you got involved with it, you could get burnt. And I didn't feel like I was in a position to get burnt after 30-some years in the game.
No, that makes sense. Well, thanks for joining the show. I really appreciate it, and always a pleasure chatting with you.
Hey, take care, and the check's in the mail, right?
Well, that's going to just about do it for this week's episode of Icebreaker. Thanks again for tuning in, downloading, watching on YouTube, subscribing. It's all appreciated. Very much so. If you haven't already, make sure to follow us on social media at Icebreaker Show with 2 W's on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And hope everybody has a great week, and we will talk to you next week.